Now, my job tonight is to teach you something that it took us 7 years to learn. Our first 7 years in the business, Patrick and I were on what I like to say an emotional and financial roller coaster all at once. How many of you know what I mean? Anybody been on the roller coaster? Right? And what I mean by that is we very rarely would ever sign anybody up in the living room. They say, well, how did you go TC? How did you go RD? How did you go RVP? Well, we would do a presentation, and then we would call them and call them and call them and get them to come to Saturday training. See, here's what we found. If we could show this in a living room, show a presentation, and get them to come to Saturday training, 98% of the people would sign up. How many of you found that out? I found that if somebody seen the presentation, they came to a Saturday training, they did it. Now, here was the problem. We lost a lot of people between the presentation and the training. And it wasn't until we committed to the PBR system and we moved to Boston. And Patrick and I would not meet people unless it was in a living room. And we would not talk to anybody, we would not do a presentation unless you were in the living room. And we just started scheduling PBRs and PBRs and PBRs. And we got to the point where we couldn't do them all. So we started pushing other people out to do PBRs. And we had this single mom that, never did anything like this before, actually never had a job. She came out of high school, got married, had some kids, and, ran on a little bit of a bad time. And, she's like, okay, great, I've never done this before. But she came in, she went ETT, she went ETL. And I was like, look, you got to do a PBR. We had a meeting set up for her, and she went and did a PBR. Now, up until that point, we very rarely ever signed anyone up in a living room. Like, if we would sign someone up, we would celebrate. We'd be like, oh my God, well, you got somebody in the business, right? And I remember we sent her out to do a PBR. And on my way home, I gave her a call, and I said, how did you do? She goes, I got 2 representatives. I said, are they paid for? Did they sign up? I mean, they put their credit card on the application? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. That's great. And I talked to Pat. I said, wow, she did it. This is great. I said, let's send her out to do 2 PBRs tomorrow night. So we did. She went out and got 4 apps at her first PBR and 2 at her second. I about wrecked my car when I called her. And then I was like, we're only recruiting single moms. Like, that's it. That's it. That's all I went after. And I remember, I said, what are you doing in the living room? And she's like, I'm doing this little close, and I'm drawing. And she's trying to explain it to me on the phone. Now, remember, it was 7 years into my career. Very, very rarely ever. I think I ever signed 4 people up in a living room at that point, right? And she was doing it, and I said, look, I'm going to come to you. And it was late, and I drove 90 miles one way. I got to her house about 1:30 in the morning, and I said, okay, show me what you're doing. And she showed me what I'm going to teach you. And it was so impactful. How many of you have seen things in your life and you have that aha moment? That's where the light bulb becomes real clear. I've had 5 aha moments in ACN, and every one of those moments propelled our business, right? And this was one of them. I was so fired up, I called Pat. I was like, get over here. I said, get over here. He came over, and we stayed up all night, and we did this close that she showed us. And I practiced with him, and he practiced with me. Remember, it was 7 years. Because this is the final piece of the puzzle on how to get people in the business. Now, I'm going to show you how to do it. I can guarantee you every living room you walk into, you can sign at least 1 person up. How many of you want to learn that? Right? Now, but you got to be what? Coachable. Now, I'm going to go through the close. I'm going to write it out, and then we're going to take time to practice it amongst one another. Now, when I do a presentation, right, during the presentation, I'm always asking people, usually at the beginning, how many of you currently own a business? So let's say this was my PBR, and I say, how many of you currently own a business? Right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the presentation, I'm going to key in on the business owners, and I'm going to look for positive feedback. Now, what's positive feedback as you're doing a presentation? Shaking their heads. What else could be positive feedback?
Taking notes.
Taking notes. What else could be positive feedback?
Shaking their legs.
Shaking their legs, being excited, sitting up straight, all those things. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to walk up to the person that gives me the most positive feedback, and here's what I'm going to do. Are you ready to get started? Now, what did I say?
We're ready to get started.
Again.
Are you ready to get started?
Again.
Are you ready to get started?
I'm going to walk up and say, you ready to get started? And if he says yes, I'm going to fill out that application with him. No one in the living room matters but Glenn. And I'm going to take Glenn to the computer, and I'm going to help him put his application in the system. Why? Because training just started, yes or no? If I teach him how to put his application in, can he not help somebody else do it?
Yes.
Right? And I'm going to take his Zoom test with him. And now what's everybody else in the living room doing? Watching Glenn and me. What do you do? You're a police officer? This is unbelievable. We're going to do, you know what I mean? And it becomes contagious. But let's say I walk up to Glenn. Let's go back to the PBR, right? I go back, and PBR's over. I walk up and say, are you ready to get started? And he says, I have some questions, right? Let's do this. Glenn, you ready to get started?
I have a few questions.
Great. What are your questions?
We gotta take cricket phones.
Do we take cricket phones? All right? Now, no matter what question they asked you, you always compliment their question. Why? How do you feel when somebody compliments you? How have you been complimented by somebody and you actually told people about it, right? Right? Glenn's thinking, whoa, you're right. I do ask good questions, right? Let's do this again. I'm walking up. Hey, you ready to get started?
I have a few questions.
What's your question?
We take cricket phones.
Do we trade cricket phones? That's a great question. Here, let me show you. And I'll take the clipboard and I'll turn the page over and I'll say, Glenn, here's you. Everybody has to get 4 customers, okay? Now we have local long distance, we got wireless, we got TV, and we got gas and electricity. Now out of you and everybody you know, do you think you can get 4 customers?
Yeah, for myself.
For yourself, great. Well, let me show you the big thing, right? Your buddy Bob, who's having the meeting tonight, here's Bob. Let me show you how this works. Bob knows a lot of people. And this is his first meeting. He's going to have another meeting. But let me show you how this works. The first person that signs up tonight goes here. The second one goes here. The third one goes here. The fourth one goes here. The fifth one goes here. The sixth one goes here. The seventh one goes here. And the 8th one goes there. Now, Glenn, where would you rather be? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6, 7, 8? What did he say?
1.
What did he say? How do you spell your last name? And just start writing it out, filling out the form. It's that simple. Everybody catch that?
Yes.
See, this makes it simple, right? Now let's say I do the same thing and I go, you know, you ready to get started? He says, I want to be 1. And I say, great, how do you spell your last name? And he says, well, you still haven't answered my question. I say, no problem. Here's what I'm going to do. You come to training on Saturday. We're going to answer all that question and all your questions you have. But if you sign up tonight with payment, I'm going to give you that #1 position, and you come out Saturday, you like it, and we're going to put you in there. Fair enough?
All right.
Great. How do you spell your last name?
Yes.
And we sign them up. How many of you see the simplicity of this?
Yes.
Now, you know why this works? Because it breaks the presentation down to the simple. See, how many of you have done a 1 through 8 presentation and you still don't understand how it works? Honestly. Right? It took you a while to figure that out, yes or no? But if you show them the simple, they'll do it. Now watch this. We're systematic. We're like McDonald's. We all do the same thing. Now let's say this is the PBR and there's other ETTs and ETLs that are doing the same thing. And I go, are you ready to get started? And I do the close with them. And he says, yes. And I fill him up. Here's what I say. Spot 1's gone. I just yell it out. Now if you're in the living room doing the close, what are you going to do? You're going to be like, well, okay, do you want to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Yes or no? Spot 2's gone. Spot 3's gone. It starts happening like popcorn. Everybody catching this? Now I'm going to go through it one more time for you, right? PBR's over. Glenn was giving me the most positive feedback. I walk over to him and I say, Glenn, are you ready to get started?
I have a couple questions.
Got a couple questions. What are your questions? Will TV work? Okay, good. That's a great question. Here, let me show you. Here's you. Everybody has to get 4 customers. Now, out of you, and here's our services. We have local, long distance, wireless, TV, gas, and electric. Now, out of you and everybody you know, you think you get 4 customers?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, let me show you the important part tonight. Bob, the guy who's having the meeting, your friend, knows a lot of people. The first person signs up goes here, the second one there, the third one there, the fourth one there, the fifth one there, the 6th one there, the 7th one there, the 8th one there. Now, where would you rather be? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6, 7, 8?
1.
Want to be 1? Okay, how do you spell your last name?
S-I-C-H.
And just start writing. It's literally that simple. Now, how many of you in this room have used the close and it's worked? How many of you were spot #1? Guys, this works. But you got to practice it. So here's what we're going to do. I want everybody, we're going to take 10 minutes, right? How many of you know the close? Right? If you don't know the close, get with somebody that does and practice closing one another. Let's take a quick 5 minutes and practice up. I want you to see how well you know it or how well you don't. All right? Let's take a minute. The people that are filling their living room are counting on you. Now, what are they counting on? They're counting on you to come in and know the what? The close, the basics, right? They're working hard to fill their living room. They're practicing a script. They're out there on the ledge, you know what I mean, filling their liver, nervous, and they want you to come in and at least sign up one person. Now, watch how important this is. Anybody in this room have a PBR and nobody signed up? Anybody have a PBR? Had that happen? Now, how did you feel?
I'm sorry.
How did you feel?
Disappointed.
Disappointed. Anyone else? Yes.
Invite more next time.
Invite more next time. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, like I did something wrong, and I know I did.
Disappointed. Felt like I did something wrong. Anyone else have a PBR? Yes.
What did I do wrong?
What did I do wrong? Anyone else? Anybody want to quit? Anybody didn't think it was for them? You know? And guys, that's reality. Now, watch this. How many of you had a PBR and someone signed up? How did you feel?
Awesome.
Awesome. Anyone else? How did you feel? Excited. How did you feel?
I can do this.
That you could do this. How'd you feel?
I ran to the next person as fast as I can.
Run to the next person as fast as you can. Anyone else? One word. Excited. How many of you want the first response? How many of you want the second?
Yes.
Learn the close. Learn the close. It works. You know, guys, I was doing a meeting in Philadelphia, and this ETT called me up. He's like, Mike, I got this lady. She's a real estate broker, and she's one of the top brokers in Philadelphia. She has 28 people on her list. Would you come to her PBR? I said, absolutely. So I leave New York. I ran to Philadelphia, did the PBR. Now, the ETT was in there. It was just me, the ETT, and the host, and about 19 people. So I did the presentation. At the end of the presentation, I walk up to the person. I said, you're ready to get started? Said yes. 2, 3, 4 people signed up. But the ETT didn't know the close and was over there in the corner with 2 of the hosts' guests going, what do you mean you don't see this? What are you, stupid? No, hold on, you laugh, but here's what happened. The next day, the ETT calls me up, and he's like, Mike, they quit. I said, who quit? The lady quit, and she talked to 4 people out of doing ACN. I said, why? I don't know, so I called a lady, because he didn't know the close. See, people believe in you. They believe that you can take them where they want to go, yes or no?
Yes.
You got yourself in this room. If you're an ETT, can you not help me get ETT? If you're an ETL, can't you help me get ETL, yes or no? Right, so people believe in you. But when you start taking away that belief, what happens? Right. How many of you believed in something or somebody in your life? And then they did something that made you lose that belief. Did you ever get the belief back? Not to the level you had it, right? That's the same thing. These 106 PBRs believe in you. You know how much they believe in you? They're inviting people to the living room for you. And if you don't know the close, time either promotes you or exposes you. Guys, it's simple. I'm going to be like simple. This is simple. This system that we put together has allowed us to continually be the #1 or the #2 team in this company for 8 years. Now, let me tell you, no one's done it consistently. There's been teams that do it for 1 year, 2 years, 8 years. And it's because we're McDonald's-like. Here's what I found. The system is more important than the product. Now, I know some of you guys are sitting there going, Mike, if you have a bad product, I don't care how good your system is. How many of you had a McDonald's hamburger? Best hamburger you ever had? Probably the worst. Why do they sell more than anybody? Because they have a system. See, whether you go to a McDonald's in LA or McDonald's in Pittsburgh, it's all the same, yes or no? Absolutely. We have a McDonald's-like system, but we're only as strong as our weakest link, yes or no? If you don't know the close, are you an asset or a liability? Liability. Just learn it. We'll spend time with you, stay here all night, whatever it takes to get that close. Right? So I'm gonna do this one more time. Everybody take one more time and practice it real quick. I want you to practice the close one more time.